Hi, this is Paul Hitchcock with the asset protection and estate planning firm BarthCalderon. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with our founder and senior managing partner, Harry Barth. And we're talking about, Harry, a very important subject today, IRA LLCs. And so those have become more popular today because a lot of people are investing with their IRAs. So give us a little bit of background on what that's all about.
Sure. You know, there are probably several $1 trillion in retirement assets, and a good percentage of them are in IRAs. And there's a lot of opportunity, and when IRAs were first developed, most of the time they were very, very traditional in mutual funds and stock and bonds. But of recent, there's been a tremendous trend towards what we call self-directed IRAs, which opens up the investment arena significantly, so people can invest in real estate, and homes, and matter of fact, they can even invest in a quarter of a racehorse. So there are lots of opportunities that are available with self-directed IRAs. And companies that are self-directed IRA custodians have become quite popular. And I think it's actually a great way for people to get best utilization, investment utilization from their IRAs and have more control over how they're invested and what they do.
So how does it work with why do you need an LLC for an IRA, or how is it even possible for that retirement account?
Well, I think that we need to understand the background of that, and there are several different branches that are associated with this. Branch number one has to do with, as you know, we're an asset protection firm, with the asset protection component. So there are a couple of components that are involved from that area. So number one is that in some states, for example, California, an IRA, in the event that there is a legal challenge to you, is only exempt from the claims of creditors to the extent that it's reasonable and necessary.
What does that mean?
Well, that means that the way that the courts interpret it is almost a subsistence level. So if the court, you're still able to make money, you're still own other assets, a court may very well allow a creditor to go inside and take IRA assets to satisfy a claim. Now, just to put a few notes around that, that's under state law. Under federal law, the rules are quite different, where a significant amount of IRA assets could be exempt from the claims of creditors. And that's mostly in the bankruptcy sense. But in the event the creditor wishes to go into an IRA, they'd be able to take the assets that are in
Now that's amazing to me, because most people think that, oh, it's in an IRA, unprotected, creditor can't get it, they can get in.
In many states that's true, in some states that's not true. So it's a state-by-state election. And then there's the balance between federal law and state law. So it's not that simple. So one of the reasons for establishing a LLC inside an IRA is that the LLC itself has certain asset protection components. So if a creditor wanted to break into an IRA, a self-directed IRA, rather than being able to reach the assets themselves, the assets were encapsulated within this LLC, which is owned by the IRA. So if established properly and worked on properly, the creditor should not be able to reach the assets, but only be able to place a lien over the LLC and not be able to force a distribution. So it provides a great amount of protection in those states or where the IRAs themselves are not protected from the claims of creditors.
Does having a limited liability company around your IRA, does it prevent you from investing in property or stocks, bonds, and cash? Any limitations?
Actually, no limitations whatsoever. I think it's important, and you bring up a very good point, because there's another side to this that's very important. With people investing more and more in real estate, for example, within their self-directed IRAs, some like Mainstar would work with, the concern then is a lot of people don't recognize the fact that if there is a landlord-tenant liability, the landlord is not the IRA. Under the law, they look through the IRA and reach up to the owner of the IRA to carry all the landlord-tenant liability. So if there is a very, very large judgment against the property that is owned by the self-directed IRA, we can reach all of the assets of the individual who is the owner of the IRA.
Jeez.
So it's very important if one is owning real property, which brings with it, in many cases, landlord-tenant liability,
Right.
that property be encapsulated within IRA LLC. So therefore, the landlord is the IRA LLC, and the liability would be limited to the value of that LLC. So if we had 2 or 3 properties inside our self-directed IRA, maybe we should have 2 or 3 IRA LLCs, so a liability at any one property doesn't impact the other properties, and also if there's a liability, it doesn't reach through the IRA to the owner of the IRA and hit all their personal assets. So I think that is a very, very important component. And another component that also needs to be taken a look at is that we might have a self-directed IRA, and let's say, Paul, you have a small duplex as one of the investments in there.
Yeah.
And then you have in there perhaps $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of stocks, bonds, and cash. Same issue, if we have a liability at the property, we're going to lose the $300,000-$400,000 worth of cash. So it would have been better to encapsulate that property inside a IRA LLC to confine that liability at that point, and then depending upon the state that you live in, if it's a state that provides asset protection for IRAs, we would not need a IRA LLC for the stocks, bonds, and cash. But if we had a state that didn't provide a 100% asset protection for self-directed IRAs or IRAs in general, then we need to make sure that we have an IRA LLC to protect the assets within the IRA.
Right.
And one other component, I know you didn't ask the question yet, but let me just take it off, is that many states treat inherited IRAs differently than they treat our own IRA. So some states.
This is your dad passing away and giving you his IRA.
Yeah, and then what happens, a lot of people believe it's treated the same way. In some states, they say that an inherited IRA, because it's not your retirement plan, it's dad's retirement plan,
Right.
is a asset protected or an exempt asset. In some states, they say, in many states, they say, subject to a recent Supreme Court decision, that inherited IRAs are not necessarily an exempt asset. So if one is inherited an IRA, which may have stocks, bonds, cash, promissory notes, I think it would be a great idea for that inherited IRA also to have an IRA LLC to protect the assets that are inside the IRA. So I think the LLCs, IRA LLCs, provide significant protection, and is something that really should be considered by most people who have self-directed IRAs, especially with property.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like it's a go on the internet, click, click, set one up type of a scenario.
No, it's a special IRA. It's owned by the IRA itself. It's a special type of LLC owned by the IRA itself, and it's also, when it's paid for and bought, it needs to be paid for by the IRA. So the IRA itself is the one that would hire the law firm to prepare the IRA LLC. It's
amazing, yeah. And Harry, my last question would be, this is great information, is it seems like, is it a good statement where it's really a partnership between the law firm, your firm, and the custodian? Really kind of have to be in sync with each other on this?
Yes, only, of course, at the time of the creation of the IRA LLC. And then it's also very important to who is going to be the manager of the LLC. Certain things you can't happen. You can't be your own property manager. There's a lot of conditions that the custodian of the law firm on operating an IRA LLC. So I think that it's one thing to create the IRA LLC. It's another one that the custodian, law firm, and client will work together in operating the IRA LLC properly. It's not complicated. It's not hard. It's very, very cost effective. And if it was me and I had I would not dare have a self-directed IRA owning real property without an IRA LLC. I think that's madness.
Because of the legal climate being out of control.
Madness. It's just madness to do that. It's just like owning, no different than owning real property in your own name and not having it in an LLC. You have unlimited liability, and I think the liability outweighs any gain that you can have in the assets. But with an appropriately designed, properly constructed IRA LLC, you can enjoy enjoy the benefits of that retirement plan and get those extra benefits and investments that you could have only dreamed of years ago.
Fantastic information. Thank you, Harry, very much. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.